Hello everyone, welcome to BI Consulting Pro. In this video, we are going to discuss how you can optimize your Power BI reports. In this video, you will learn about optimizing the data model, optimizing dashboard, optimizing Power BI reports and paginated reports. Also, you would get to know how to optimize the environment and monitor performance. If you want to know more about these topics in detail, please don't forget to mention your topic in the comment section and I'll get back to you with a detailed video on that particular topic. So, enough all the talking, let's get started. If you are over here for the very first time, please consider to subscribe our channel and hit the bell icon for all the latest updates and videos. The very basic question comes into our mind, why do we need to do it? Well guys, whenever we work on Power BI reports, it should represent the accurate data, and if you are not presenting the accurate data, there is no sense of the business intelligence team into your organization. Executives or the top management or whoever is consuming that report, they are trusting you for the accurate data. So first of all, your data should be accurate. Second of all, it should be rendered very quickly. It should not take a lot of time that somebody is gonna stuck their head on the wall. Your report should perform very well. They should get the calculations very quickly. They should represent your data very quickly. And the end user should get a smooth experience while connecting or rendering these reports. So that's the main reason why we need to do it. Now, the very first comes the optimizing the data model. As I explained you in my previous videos as well, that you should spend about 80% of your time to model your data. If your data model is accurate, it's correct, it's efficient, then you won't have any problem while designing your reports. You should only spend 20% of your whole time into the report designing part. If your model is correct, you are gonna nail it. So there are some different aspects that you should look for while optimizing your data. The very first comes the DEX expressions. So in DEX expressions, we have a lot of best practices. While I was doing my DEX videos, I always talked about like use the variables, use the divide function instead of just using the slash to divide it, avoid using the if error function, column reference should be fully qualified or measure reference should be unified. Likewise, and also there are some other tips like measures should not direct reference for other measures, no two measures should have the same definition, and lastly, use the treat as function instead of intersect for virtual relationships. So there are a couple of more into the DEX expressions, but you should be very much careful about using the best practices and an efficient DEX expression. If you do not know how to do that or how to check the performance of your DEX expression, you can use the DEX Studio as well, where you can see how your DEX expression is performing. Second one is error prevention. So whenever you are working on your data model, there should not be any error. Like generally when you are loading the data, you see some kind of error is appearing, and that can be due to the data format error or anything. Data column must have a source column and your calculated column must have an expression. So always check your calculated column expression and the columns that it's referring to prevent the error. Thirdly, formatting. Formatting is a very crucial part while designing your data model. In that case, add data category for columns. Do not summarize numeric column. First letter of object must be capitalized. Hide fact table columns. Hide foreign keys. Mark primary keys. Month as a string must be sorted, or object should not start or end with the space. So there are a couple of more into this one, but you should be more careful while doing the formatting to optimize your data model. Next comes with the maintenance. Well, in case of maintenance also, we have a couple of points like ensure table have relationships and also object with no description. You should remove the data sources not referenced by any partitions. So if you have any columns or the data and that has not been used into any of your calculations or your report, you should remove that. Remove the roles with no members. If you are creating any roles for RLS and there's no member into this one, so you should not keep it into your data model. You should remove them. You should remove unnecessary columns as well as unnecessary measures. So these all are going to help you to load your data very quickly and the report would get rendered very easily. Now talk about the naming convention. In case of naming convention, you should always use camel case for all hidden columns. That means for every word, you should have first letter as a capital letter. Secondly, partition name should match table name for single partition tables. And thirdly and lastly, object names must not contain any special characters. Please do not put any special character while putting the object names over there in your data model. Now we talk about the performance. So in case of performance, I have always asked you to please try to use the star schema into your model, because in 99.99% time we always need a star schema. Do not just use one single table, otherwise it's gonna be very difficult for you to do the calculations, creating the measures or building an efficient report over there. Also, there should be one-to-many relationship between your dimensional and fact table. It should be many towards the fact and it should be one towards the dimension. Try to divide your whole table into different dimensional and fact tables and use a star schema over there. Always create a separate table for your dates. That's going to help you out a lot in order to do the calculations like time intelligence based calculations and all, and try to avoid bi-directional relationship into your data model as much as possible. In 99.9% cases, we don't need the bi-directional relationship, so please don't use that. If you need it in any exceptional cases, then only use this one. Lastly, do not use floating point data types. That's going to cause you a lot of performance issues. Just one more tip for this part, you should always reuse of the calculated tables and always try to split your date and time field. Do not use in the one column, otherwise its size is going to be huge. That's going to again cost you performance of your report. Now let's move forward. Second part is optimizing dashboard. So whenever you are working on your dashboard, there are some best practices as well as some optimization technique that you should always follow. So now you have created your dashboard, which is very beautiful, but there are certain things that you should follow while working on your dashboard. The very first is consider your audience. You should always keep your audience in your mind for whom you are designing this dashboard. What are the key metrics that will help to make? What are the key metrics that will help them to make decision? How will the dashboard be used? What learned or cultural assumptions may affect design choices? What information does your audience need to be successful? So always keep these questions in your mind while designing your dashboard. Second thing is tell a story on one screen. Because dashboards are meant to show important information at a glance, having all the tiles on one screen is best. Can you avoid scroll bars on your dashboard? If yes, please do that. Do not use any scroll bar if it's possible, because your dashboard should be just one page, and as soon as user can look at into it, he can get the information what they are desired to. You should also make sure use of full screen mode. When presenting a dashboard, display it in full screen mode without distractions. Now comes to the point number 4. Accent the most important information. Well, if the text and visualization on a dashboard are all the same size, your readers will have a hard time to focus on what's important. For example, card visualization are a good way to display an important number prominently, which we call the KPIs, key performance indicator. Be sure to provide the context as well over there, and your KPI should be bigger in sizes compared to the other numbers in your tables or in your other visualizations. Place the most important information. Well, in this case, most people read from the top to bottom, so you should always keep this thing in your mind. So put the highest level of data at the top left corner and show more details as you move in the direction the audience uses for reading, left to right top to bottom. Lastly, we talk about the use of the right visualization. So this is very important. Many of the time I have asked you to always consider what your visualization you should use for what kind of data. And we have already a couple of videos on our channel. Please go and check those videos if you are not aware about what to use, when to use. So using of the right visualization is damn important. You should always be very much careful about, for example, if you are representing a data over the time series, this should be a line graph or area line chart, something like that, but it should not be a bar graph or stack chart, something like that. Now let's talk about optimizing Power BI reports and the best practices that you can follow to optimize your Power BI reports. The very first comes into our mind is applying the most restrictive filters. The more data that a visual needs to display, the slower that visual is to load. While the principle seems obvious, it's easy to forget. For example, suppose you have a large data set. At top of the data set, you build a report with a table. End users use slices on the page to get the rows they want. Typically, they are only interested in few dozen rows. A common mistake is to leave the default view of the table unfiltered, that is all 100 million plus rows. The data for these rows loads into memory and is uncompressed at every refresh. This process creates huge demands for the memory. The solution is always use top n filter to reduce the max number of items that the table displays. You can set the max item to larger than what user would need. For example, 10,000. The result at the end user experience doesn't change, but memory use drops greatly. And most importantly, performance improves. So always try to restrict the data whenever you are creating your Power BI reports. Second is the limit visuals on report pages. This is very important. You should not clutter your report page with a lot of visuals. You should be very mindful about that. How many visuals do you really need? And in my experience, generally you should use maximum 10 to 15 overall visuals into your report. And always keep in your mind everything that you are putting over there, whether it's a KPI card or it's a graph chart, any image or any text field, all counts as one visual. Thirdly, evaluate custom visual performance. So before using any custom visual, you should always consider their performance. They are certified, uncertified, and even there are some certified custom visuals whose performance are not so great. So always try to consider this one. And lastly, I'll request you use only the certified custom visuals. And in our most of cases, we even don't need the custom visuals. We just need the default visuals in Power BI. So I request you stick with them unless otherwise you have a specific requirement for a custom visual, then only go for that. And in that case, just use the certified custom visuals. Optimize Power BI paginated reports. Well, in case of paginated reports, you have to redefine your data source on. That means while connecting user direct query to the SQL server or while getting data from the source, that time only you have to apply your all the best practices, and those best practices basically comes under the best practices of your data model or how to optimize your data model that we already discussed. Now let's discuss about optimizing the environment. You can optimize the Power BI environment by configuring capacity settings, sizing data gateways, and reduce network latency. In terms of capacity settings, when using capacities available with Power BI Premium, that is generally PSQs, or Power BI Premium per user licenses, or Power BI Embedded, which is the ASQs from A4 to A6, you can manage capacity settings. I have already explained in my another video that what are the ASQs or PSQs, what are the vCores and all. For more information, please check the link in the description section. Now let's talk about the gateway sizing. A gateway is required whenever Power BI must access data that isn't accessible directly over the internet. That means whenever you have data on-premise, which is not online or not in the cloud, in that case, to make a connection between your on-premise data and your online or over Power BI service, you need a gateway. Only then you can refresh your data or you can schedule refresh for that one. You can install the on-premise data gateway on server, on-premises, or VM-hosted infrastructure as a service. Lastly, we are going to discuss about network latency. Network latency can impact report performance by increasing the time required for requests to reach the Power BI service and for responses to be delivered. Tenants in Power BI are assigned to a specific region. When user from the tenant access the Power BI service, their request always route to this region. That is where your Power BI data has been stored. As requests reach the Power BI service, the service may then send additional requests, for example, to the underlying data sources or a data gateway, which are also subject to the network latency. So in this case, tools such as Azure Speed Test provide an indication of network latency between the client and the Azure region. In general, to minimize the impact of network latency, try to keep the data source, gateway, and your Power BI cluster as close as possible. Preferably, they reside within the same region. Lastly, we are going to discuss about the monitor performance. In my previous chapters or the previous videos, I have discussed about these. So let's recall them again. The very first is the query diagnostic. Query diagnostic is a tool. When you will go into your Power Query editor, over there under the tools, you will find this query diagnostic. There are two kinds of query diagnostic. One is the whole process, another is the step query diagnostic. Step means only one step that you are going to perform into your Power Query. It's going to detect or trace all the processes that are going over there. Or if you want to trace your whole query, like suppose you are performing multiple steps, removing column, adding column, filtering, or doing some customizations, etc., then you can trace using query diagnostics and you will get to know where the performance issues are there. Second is use performance analyzer. Performance analyzer is available in your Power BI desktop. Over there, you can use that. You can start refreshing your data and you will get to know which DAX query or which visualization is taking more time. And according to that, you can take the steps to enhance the performance you are reporting. Another one is use SQL Server Profiler. This is also another tool that you can use to identify queries that are slow. Use SQL Server Profiler when your data source is either SQL Server Analysis Services, or Azure Analysis Service. And lastly is the Monitor Premium Metrics. For Power BI Premium capacities, use the Power BI Premium Metrics app to monitor the health and capacity of your Power BI Premium subscription. And for more information, I'll provide you a link in the description. Please don't forget to check that out. Don't forget to connect with us, and also don't forget to subscribe our channel, hit the bell icon, and yes, follow us for more exciting videos.